All right, welcome to another episode of the Couch Coaches podcast where we talk about everything going on in sports, and we have a lot going on in all of the major sports. Um, the Raiders fans decided to take a night off. One was so embarrassed he had to fly to Europe to just get away from us, so he didn't hear anything, and the other one had bad internet connections, so he won't be joining us either. But we have a wonderful guest, Sister Leslie, who's joined us before, so thank you so much for joining us. And I'm going to start with you. Our first topic of the night is a massive WNBA's final game, going to Game 5, going to overtime. It's about as good as it gets as far as if you want competition and you want it to go down to the absolute wire. Very exciting game, Sister Leslie. What are your thoughts on the NBA Finals, WNBA Finals?
It was amazing. I was so happy to see this high level of excitement and turnout. I mean, they packed out Barclay Stadium. Um, this is what women's sports need. This is where we've tried to get for years. And in my opinion, it happened this year. I mean, they went down to the wire. I'm sure we'll talk about that bogus call. Yeah, but I'm so excited for women's sports right now, especially basketball, because this finals was exactly what women's sports should start to look like.
Brother Bill.
Yeah, what I like not just about the finals, but the WNBA playoffs in general, and we've talked about in previous podcasts. Once we got to the playoffs, just to see not just the teams and learn more about the teams and the athletes. Some of them, we followed even from college. Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark. A few others. The names escape me, but just what both the coverage was going to look like, especially at a time of year when they're competing against other sports in terms of TV time. You've got the NFL going. You've got now the World Series. And then you get to the finals and the caliber of play, both offensively and defense. I mean, that was a great defensive game,
Mhm.
that game 5. In both teams, the fact that it was close and the way the teams fought, it reminded me of in the 90s when some teams from the East would play, the Knicks, Bulls. It was a very physical, very hard-fought series. And I'm a fan of defense. Yeah, I like scoring, but I'm a fan of because every possession gets magnified when you're trying to score, and that had everything. I mean, I'm looking forward to next year when they expand it to the best of 7 instead of just a best of 5. And the fact that now the WNBA turned down the collective bargaining agreement because they want to negotiate as they should. I mean,
As they
they
should.
deserve to get paid.
Yeah.
I'm 100% behind that. The owners, and I mean, there are others who are getting, billions of dollars. They're like, we want a cut of that. We want our fair share. 100% behind it.
Yeah, I think one thing that was really cool about in juxtaposing it to the NBA Finals, it seems like in the NBA, when one team's hot, the other team just goes, "Ah, we'll get them next game." And then so you'll have these like 20-point wins and 25-point wins, and in this one, teams were jumping out and they were coming back, and then they were and then it was tight for in the fourth quarter, and that seemed to be like every game they're up 20 points, they're up 15 points, and then the other team just comes storming back, especially in game 1 when they did it at the very last minute, but having it to where every game was kind of going the back and forth, they're going way up, and it almost had the kind of feel of college football where a team's up 25 points and you go, it's college football. Like, the second half is a completely different game. And that's kind of how it translated the same in this, where just the back and forth was massive swings back and forth, which I thought was really cool. And I think having, again, juxtaposing to the NBA, the WNBA is in a space right now where it kind of feels like the NBA was like in the 80s, where you're watching these competitions come up from college and to watch multiple years in college and then come into the pros and then take that to, two completely different cities to higher level basketball play. And I hope with the more money that they still keep that where the women are staying in school for a couple years so you can have this built, because I think that's one thing that's completely missing from the NBA is you get these dudes that come out when they're 18 years old and they may be talented for an 18-year-old, but unless you're just some ridiculous level, we don't really hear about you till you're like 22, 23, 24. So they're coming out and they're just kind of, they're like number 8 on the bench or number 9 on the bench instead of carrying this, like, I mean, Magic and Bird, carrying, Jordan and I'm blanking, and the Hoyas and stuff. I mean,
Hey,
like,
Duncan's a good example. 4 years at Wake Forest, showed himself his rookie season at San Antonio Spurs. David Robinson won a title his rookie year,
yeah,
99.
yeah.
Perfect
I
example.
think that's great for the sports because you're combining two things and like you're just building the storyline, which I think is huge for the WNBA right now.
But I think the NIL should help with some of that.
Yeah,
Now players can earn money in college. So in my opinion, you don't need to rush out of college. I mean, if you're a standout, you're going to earn money, and so again, in my opinion, I think that parents should, really be pushing their students or their players, athletes to stay in school because you're going to earn money. If you're a standout, you still could make 2, 3, 4, $5 million before you get to the WNBA or the NBA, NBA or NFL. You're going to make millions already. So you need to get the education. You're already making millions as now college. So I'm all for the NIL. I am all for that. I'm glad that college students or college athletes are making money. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I'm all for it. And so I think that, players can get that money as a college athlete, still stay in school. And then when they get to the professional level, it's the sky is the limit.
yeah. I think NIL is probably. I think the for basketball, especially for men's basketball, it's probably the best thing to happen to men's college basketball because it will keep guys in that
Mhm.
instead of coming out and being very mediocre in the pros, they can be stars making money in college for a couple of years. I think it's perfect.
Yep.
So you kind of alluded to that last call. Do you think it was a business decision? Because having New York win over Minnesota, to me, if I'm making a business, I would much rather have New York win than Minnesota. But that was a mm, mm, that was not.
How can you think well, I mean, I think in the WNBA, you're allowed 2 overtimes. So that was just the first overtime. I mean, even if they wouldn't have made the call and went into a second overtime, but that just to me just was just too obvious. I mean, the whole don't not to mention the free throws that Liberty's got, like 20 something free throws to the Lynx maybe 8. I mean, that's so lopsided too. I mean, it was just too much, too lopsided. So if you want to call it a business call, okay, fine, but they need to be more discreet if they're going to do business.
Well, it had a very Sacramento Lakers feel to it, where it was they had this huge discrepancy in like the fouls. You're like, there's no
Yeah,
way the other team is fouling that much more than this team.
exactly. Exactly.
Brother Bill.
Yeah, I would say we've seen in sports where you it looks like the officiating is obviously slanted to a team for marketing reasons, for publicity. You're at New York, big city, Minnesota, small market, all that, what that's going to mean, for the next year, a better sports story, all that. And again, and for financial reasons. But in looking at the game itself, I could see where I don't agree. I thought the disparity was suspicious, but like I said, it was very physical defensively, and the refs were calling it close for the whole game. It's just odd that, to your point, it seemed like the Liberty was getting benefit for more calls more so than the Lynx because both teams were very physical. They were on ball. There was pressure, the whole game. Um, but we'll see. What happens next year, like I said, when you expand and to see what it looks like as you get into the playoffs, with there's some momentum, how that shakes out for the next round of teams. Because it would have been a great story for Minnesota. I mean, for both teams, either way, it would have been a great story to cap it all off.
What's a better story for the Liberties because that's their
Correct.
first
Correct.
that's their
That was the
first
first team. Right.
championship.
Right.
The Lynx, that was 4. They have 4, I think, and this would have been like their 5th one.
Right.
So it okay, if you need a Cinderella story, all right. It was more Cinderella-ish for the Liberties, but I just don't like the Liberties. I don't like anything New York. Just put it that way.
Okay.
Well, that's a good transition to this next thing because I think the death of Moneyball has started. Brother, I'm sorry, man. Did you have one thing you wanted to say about that? One more
No,
thing?
no, she said New York. I'm thinking is because the Giants, because they're in the same division as the Cowboys. Is it because of the Yankees? I mean, yeah, I don't know yeah, you have to tell me about the anti-New York story. Maybe when I
Well,
see you on Sunday at church.
okay, we'll talk about it. But you're right. The Giants, they're in our division. New York is just overrated. And well, like, I guess I watch too much Stephen A. And so anything Stephen A. is for, I'm against. So
Hey, I can agree with that. I can go with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so going to New York and LA, World Series. I mean, absolutely. I'm assuming the World Series is going to have absolutely massive numbers. This is the exact opposite of everything the baseball said they were doing in this Moneyball and the stats, and we're doing this and we're doing the metrics and and all this stuff. You have the two biggest markets, you have two of the biggest payrolls, and they're playing each other in the World Series. And I can't stand the Dodgers. I'm going for the Yankees. I cannot stand the Dodgers, but Shohei's hard not to like. And what I've seen in these playoffs, I don't know who's beating the Dodgers. They have been absolutely unbelievable. Sister Leslie, I don't know if you've been paying attention to the playoffs or anything, but go. I know you're a Lakers fan, so I'm assuming you're a Dodgers fan too.
listen, I only watch baseball during the World Series.
There you go.
I just found out that the Dodgers and the Yankees were in the World Series, what, last week when I guess when they clinched it or whatnot. So then I'm like, oh shoot, it's time to start watching the World Series. I'm only for the Dodgers because of Magic Johnson.
Because he owns like 3% of the
He
Dodgers.
owns part of some of the Dodgers.
All right, and he's a
So
Laker. I got it.
and he's a Laker, and so I gotta stay true.
And that's a good team to back because they look ridiculous. Brother Bill.
Yeah. If you look at they say defense wins championships, and more often than not in baseball, it's pitching and fielding, but it starts with pitching. And if you look at the from the wild card series to the LDS to the LCS, the Yankees are giving up far fewer runs than the Dodgers have. And so you ask yourself, which pitching is going to be the difference in the series? The hitting, I believe it's a wash. And the Yankees, yeah, I mean, they've got Judge, they've got I forget his name. The Yankees have some sluggers, we know the Dodgers do, but I just believe it's going to come down to pitching. If I was a betting man, I would put my money on the Yankees to win in a long series. But I won't be surprised either way. I won't be thrilled if the San Francisco Giants in me can't root for the Dodgers, but I'm not going to be, broken up if they pull it out.
Yeah, I just look at that stretch of like 4 games where they completely shut down the Padres, who have an insane lineup also. And then they went into the Mets, and like the first game against the Mets, they went like 40 innings without giving up a run because of their bullpen. And I'm just like, if they can click into, I mean, granted, it's series to series and stuff, and matchup to matchup, it changes, but my goodness, they were just, and I'm actually surprised the Dodgers have scored or have given up more runs than the Yankees, because to me, their pitching has been absurd. And maybe it's just their bats have been just so crazy. I mean, the last series, they were up like 11-5, and I'm like, I don't know if that's enough runs because the Dodgers bats are so hot. But I'm 100% going for the Yankees, and I don't think I've ever gone for the Yankees ever, except for the 2001 series when they played the Diamondbacks, and that was just because of 9/11. That was the only reason. And then they lost, which is how do you lose that year? Crazy. All right, so we have an unfortunate topic that we have to discuss. None of our teams are where we want them to be at this point. So we are a good chunk into the season. Raiders fans are obviously not here to discuss their team, but I think if we
I
were,
can for them.
yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
know, I know, please, I know.
I know you can.
Please, we may start with that. So what I want to discuss is just Niners, Cowboys, Raiders. What do we do to either salvage this season, or what do we do moving forward, looking forward to next year? And because I think it's more of a move forward, looking to next year kind of a thing for the Raiders, Brother Bill, take it away.
Yeah, I think the Raiders, they have to find a quarterback, number one. They have to find an identity, which, Greg, he's been on, he's, agreed that, they have to find an identity. They have to find out who they are this year and then find out what to do, next year. I don't know. You can't fire your head coach again. You have to be willing to build some continuity. I know he said, if you've lost the team, then you're out, but, and then what? I mean, the teams that have any type of success, you have to go through some pains at least a full year, right? And then see what happens the following year. So it's not that Pierce is doing a great job, but if you get rid of him, unless there's someone else better out there, that they can bring in. But I think and they have to find a running game. They have a decent defense, but if you can't move the ball, your defense is going to get tired in the second half.
And angry.
So,
going to get angry that they have to cover for your
correct. Yeah. So like I said, for them, this year, forget trying to make the playoffs. It's all about what you do the rest of the season, try to find identity or you just take it and just say, just going to go after the number one draft pick. I don't know. And I never believe that that's a good strategy either.
Yeah.
Well, I want to know, what the heck were they thinking when they let Davante Adams go? But okay, that's not the question on the table. But going back to you saying the quarterback, I have some bets out there with some friends of, friends, not monetary bets, but I'm thinking that Shedeur Sanders is going to the Raiders.
I don't think Dion will let him go there.
Why wouldn't he?
I wouldn't let my son go there.
Right, because the Raiders are a terrible organization. Sorry, Deacon Greg. They're a terrible organization.
I don't think that they would be terrible if Dion is there, in the back picture. He's not going to let them be terrible, especially toward his son. But anyway, that I digressed. I just think that the Raiders, I would hate for them to let their coach go. I think, like you said, Bill, I think they need to wait a minute and try to let him get some continuity, to build some type of identity before they let him go. But a quarterback is a must. I don't understand their thinking about letting Adams go, but maybe they have some standout receiver that we haven't seen. I don't know, but I was very surprised. I was hoping the Cowboys would take him, but we'll get to them in a minute. But yeah, I don't know what's going on with the Raiders.
Yeah, I think I think they at least have to get a new OC and defensive coordinator. Like, keep the head coach. If you believe that he's a good leader of men, then you got to at least switch out, because their offensive. They just signed Desmond Ridder. What? Why?
What is that?
It's a terrible quarterback. It's one of the it's another like Gardner Minshew, or I don't know what they're doing. Like, you need 3 mediocre quarterbacks on your team. I don't understand it. The Davante thing, trading him for a 3rd round pick is wild, because it's Davante, and as much as I think the Jets are still not going to be good, he's going to put on a show once him and Aaron kind of get their chemistry back. He'll put on a show. He may be the only show that they put on, but he'll definitely put on one. I just think the Raiders are just, and then maybe it'll be different. Maybe Brady will have more of a voice in it, and maybe Brady may not be good at picking front office people. He may just be a good quarterback. It could be one of those things, but I think they'll operate a little differently with Brady in the building, I would think. But yeah, they're a mess. They need to trade Crosby and just get some draft picks or something. If you're going to trade Davante, that means your offense is dead. You might as well just kill your defense and go get some draft picks, because the Lions would 100% give you like a FERT or something for Crosby, because with Hutchinson out and the way they've been playing, man, a guy like Crosby, Crosby like fits that whole like Motor City, just tough dude kind of just machismo, whatever. That whole thing, he fits them well. I just don't know if losing Crosby would be tough. You're basically just saying we're completely done if we trade Crosby. Going to the Cowboys, who I think you guys will probably be looking for a new coach next year, which would be because he's a lame duck, and Jerry's hammered him on the radio this week saying his play calling sucks, which is wild to do on the radio. But with your thoughts as a Cowboys fan, what do you moving forward this year and moving forward next year? Like, what do you want them to do?
Well, we're finished for this year.
I like
I
it.
think that we will win. We might beat the Giants. Um, I don't think we'll win too many more games.
Are you going to the game on Sunday?
Listen, I had Rhonda had me a ticket. I said, there is no way I'll pay $300 to go see them lose. I'm not doing it. So I told her at the last minute, get rid of the ticket. I mean, the whole Detroit Lion, well, I already knew we were gonna be bad this year. I did. When you let the whole off season go by and you don't pick up any free agents, not a one. And then you bring Zeke back, then the little kid that I told you that was an eighth grader, Vaughn, we haven't seen him, right? He was too little. So it's like you didn't bring a good running back in. Now there's this one that played pretty good, but they're hit and miss, so we don't have a running game. Okay, so that's over. CD, I don't know. He got his bag, he got his money. He hasn't played good since he got his money. I mean, so we have some decent receivers, but then they're not all on the same page with Dak. So I don't know what he's going to do with the receivers. McCarthy, he should have been gone 3 years ago. Nobody listened to me. I said 3 years ago, let him go, but okay. They let Moore go instead. I think he was pretty decent. But anyway, we're done this year. We're finished. We need a new coach. We need some strong running backs. We need some more D backs that are, I think, that defensive backs that can, I don't know, I don't know, see ball, see player. I don't know what's so hard about that position. But anyway, we've never been really good, and we need some offensive linemen.
If you could pick a coach, I mean, one that's like realistically could be available, who would you pick?
Belichick. I
Wow.
know y'all don't like. No
No,
one is.
I wish had gotten Belichick for our DC last year.
I've been wanting Belichick when he was let go from the Patriots. I'm like, Dallas, get him, let go of McCarthy. I wanted him this year.
Could you see Belichick and Jerry though? I don't see that working out at all. I mean,
Well,
Belichick comes from the Parcells tree, and Parcells and him were.
I know. That's why they need it, because they're so undisciplined. We have you're just undisciplined when you just keep jumping off sides and all these stupid penalties. I mean, just stupid stuff that you're a professional. You should know better. You've been doing this 12 years, however long, and you're still making these same petty mistakes. Who cares if it's a crowd and it's a hostile environment? You should be disciplined enough, and preparation. If you gotta, we're just not prepared. And I think they need to just get rid of a lot of them, because, and if I could get rid of Dak,
you, you,
I would get rid of him too, because he has his money, and he's
well,
not doing that well.
well, I mean, to me, the one stat with Dak is if you rush over 100 yards, Dak has a great record. And the fact that they did not go get a running back, especially there was one that wanted to go there,
Right.
$6 million a year, and is now tearing it up in Baltimore.
Oh, Henry.
The fact that you're just like, well, we don't need one, and like they're setting him up for failure, and that blows my mind, because as much as I dislike the Cowboys, to me they've been very good at drafting and developing a quality roster, and it just, I mean, granted, their signings, they fall in love with the player and sign him for way too much money and everything, like all that kind of stuff, kind of like we did with Ayuk. But they've been good at roster building, and then they just made like the most obvious error this offseason. Brother Bill, what are your thoughts on the Cowboys
They could have gotten Henry
for
a couple of weeks ago
for 6 million?
for $6 million. Who doesn't do that?
Jerry,
Oh,
Yeah,
anyway.
well, yeah, I think that the teams who, if they have an identity that is pass heavy, then they believe that a running back is a nice to have, but not a must have. The teams that understand that a quarterback's two best friends are good defense and a running game will say, "Well, go and get that running back." Who, because if you think about Derrick Henry, you saw it last night,
Yeah.
right? You may get 2, 3, 4 yards pop, but you keep feeding him. And so, I mean, all that you keep, putting pressure on that defensive line. Second half, boom, the damn brakes and it broke, and he was gone. That long arm, like this is what he does. This is his running style, and John Harbaugh understands that, and their offense coordinator understands that. So you're right, Cowboy. He was there for the taking, then they didn't take him.
Lives right there in Dallas too, by the way.
Right.
he wanted to be a Cowboy. That's the best part is he wanted to be a Cowboy, and Jerry's like, we can't afford it. What? What?
Man, I couldn't have, but anybody could have loaned him $6 million. Come on.
Dude, he could have done a GoFundMe in Dallas, and they would have raised the money like that.
Exactly. Sheesh.
All right, we're kind of short on time, Brother Bill. I'm gonna come back and start with you. Is it the Niners? Is it just we just need to get healthy? Is it what do we
The
need to
two
do?
things happen. This to me feels like a repeat of the 2020 season when early in the season we lost guys on like the first 4 weeks. We lost Bosa, we lost, our defense. We had like backups playing, and then the rest of the season became a struggle. We didn't make the playoffs. In 2021, similarly, we lost some offensive weapons, and then that was the year we made it all the way to the NFC title game against the Rams, and Deebo Samuels became a focal point of our offense. If Shanahan has to be willing with regardless of what happens against the Cowboys, you're going to get to the midway point of the season either at 500 or at 3-5. If you want to try to make a playoff run the second half of the season, he's got to change up his offensive play calling because defenses have figured him out. I mean, I'm in the stands watching the game, and I'm like, okay, here we go. 2nd and 2, run up, try to put, 3rd and 2, nothing. I'm like, and he's going against Spagnuolo, who's an excellent defensive coordinator. So I think Shanahan has to, with the weapons that he has, not knowing whether or not McCaffrey's going to be back, after the break or not, he's going to have to do something different with his offense because the defense have figured him out. But we're short on bodies. You got to go out and get a wide receiver now that Ayuk is gone. If we don't have Jawan Jennings again next week, it's every game is going to be a dogfight just because we've got skill level players who we're just missing on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I think what's going to happen.
And our not so special teams, if we don't fix that, then our special teams coach, he's got to be gone at the end of the year. I don't want to see another long punter. It just pains me to watch it every game.
But also, it's Kyle's deal because no matter who we're bringing in for special teams, it's the same stupid mistakes. It's the same like not paying attention to details. It's the same getting tricked. It's the same stuff no matter who we have. I mean, this is what his third special teams coordinator, fourth. I mean, we're kind of running through special teams coordinators, and it's the same stupid mistakes because Kyle doesn't care about special teams. And one thing I think is going to happen is I think these wide receivers that Kyle's been saying are not ready. I think they're going to jump out and have some big games, and we're going to go, why haven't we been playing these guys? Like Jawan Jennings being the third guy, and we only seem to target him in like pivotal situations in big games. And you're like, why don't you throw to him more? And you throw to him more, and he's got 11 catches and 170 yards and everything. And so it's just
he's got to find different ways. I mean, how many times did you have to see the Chiefs run that jet sweep? I'm like, dude, that's what Andy Reid does. He finds ways to get his playmakers the ball. And the fact that those 3 picks that the Chiefs got, because again, Spagnuolo being an ex-defense coordinator, he knows that having played the Niners enough, especially now with Purdy, that the Niners send to their passing game around the middle of the field. You congest the middle of the field because we're not going to go through many outs or go deep. So, like I said, Shanahan, he's got to go back to John Board and he's got to break his tendencies. He's got to.
All right, Sister Leslie, as an outsider, what do you see that the Niners need to do?
Well, I don't watch y'all to like y'all and build y'all up, but I don't know. I think you guys need somebody to run the ball since McCaffrey is gone. Um, the receivers, I think Kittle is the only really name brand that you have because now the other Ayuk, he got hurt. What happened to him? Did he tear his ACL? What
Torn
happened?
Close
ACL
ACL. Yep,
and
out for the
Oh,
year.
oh yeah, he's done.
Yeah.
Well, what Bill just said, you need a receiver, some better receivers.
yeah,
DeAndre, what's his name? Hopkins available?
he is, but and I don't know how a team hasn't picked him up. I mean, maybe just because his salary is too high. Because that he is a killer. He's got gluey hand. I mean, he's like Anquan Bolden. Like you could put the ball anywhere near him and he's going to get the ball.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm surprised. I'm shocked that the Chiefs haven't picked him up. He I don't know what he's still doing on in Tennessee.
But you guys will win this week,
I hope
and
so.
y'all will have time to to make some adjustments.
I honestly think if we lose, I think that will break us because I heard that the way the Niners, what I've heard from like Niners reporters is like the Niners came in like they were like they had like their dog died on Sunday. Like just the whole demeanor of the team was just flat. I think if we lose to the Cowboys, I think it's going to break us for this season.
It's impossible for y'all to lose to the Cowboys.
I'm all for that. Believe me, I
It's
would love.
impossible, even with the staff that you have. I think Troy Aikman, and I know we're short on time. Troy Aikman said something this past week that I totally agree with. But I've never played the game, but you can just see that there's no fight. There's no, as I said, discipline. There's nothing. You don't see a hunger in the Cowboys. It's like this glamour. Oh, I'm a Dallas Cowboy. It's almost like they're the cheerleaders. We're not here to win. We're here to just be America's team. It's I would throw them all out if I could.
I'm wondering if that because this you guys didn't look like this last year. Like
Nope.
you guys have looked really, really strong and then take a poo-poo in the playoffs, which I'm all
Yep.
for.
Right.
I'm wondering if this lame duck thing, I'm wondering if Jerry's just undercutting McCarthy with all the players, with him not signing an extension, with him because it's you guys are so flat that it's something. I mean, it's something cultural. It's not just the players, and I'm wondering if Jerry's just like if he's being so. Oh, the players like he sucks. He's out of here, and they're just like, well, why am I listening to this guy? Because you guys are so flat this year. It's surprising.
Well, I think that's Jerry thinking he knows what's best. And we've been saying Jerry should have been gone 10 years ago, 20 years ago as a GM, and he just thinks he knows everything. It was just he's made some really dumb mistakes, but he's never going to own it. So until and in my opinion, again, until he's gone, which that means he has to die, I don't think the Cowboys will ever have any, unless he gets someone like Bill Belichick that say, you know what, you need to go sit down somewhere.
Shut up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
both. Yeah,
shut
but
up.
yeah, both Jerry Jones and Kyle Shanahan are similar in that they are very stubborn in their belief, despite enough evidence to the contrary. Joe, what have you saying about Shanahan? He needs, he comes up with the scheme independent of who he's playing and just believes that his scheme is going to work. And even when the Niners have leads against, the Rams, depleted Rams, or a Cardinals team who they previously owned, he just doesn't make adjustments in the second half, and then all of a sudden you look up and then you're in a dogfight.
Yeah, because they know what you're and his super complicated offense that he needs to keep all these guys around for $30 million and can't put these guys on the field because they don't get it. Well, the defenses know the offense. So if the defenses know the offense, I'm pretty sure the offensive players can know the offense too. So maybe, yeah.
We'll see you on Sunday. It's one game at a time at this point, and hopefully you don't lose any more bodies.
Yeah, seriously. Any more kickers? We're running out of kickers in the whole NFL because of us. Sister Leslie, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's been fun
Yeah,
as always.
Yes.
yeah.
All right, you guys, we'll see you next week, and I will see you guys on Sunday.